Inside America's most dangerous women's prison, the hidden truths they don't tell. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. The sound of metal doors slamming echoed down the long corridor of Central California Women's Facility, America's largest and one of its most dangerous women's prisons. The air was thick, heavy with sweat, bleach, and something deeper: fear. Guards shouted commands, boots stomped, and alarms blared. Moments earlier, a fight had erupted in the laundry room. When officers rushed in, 2 women were bleeding, and one was motionless on the concrete floor. The screams didn't stop even as the sirens did. As paramedics struggled to reach the injured inmate, other prisoners watched from behind the bars, some crying, others stone-faced. One guard whispered, "It's happening again." For the women inside, this wasn't new. Violence was as normal as the daily count. But this time it was different. The cameras were rolling. A journalist embedded for a report on prison conditions had just captured a brutal reality no one was supposed to see. The footage would later make national news, showing not just the violence, but the desperation that lived in every corner of the prison. Women sleeping two to a bed, shouting to be heard over chaos, and guards too few to control it all. The question that hung over everyone that day was, how did things get this bad? Before that shocking moment, the story had begun quietly. The Central California Women's Facility, or CCWF, was built to hold about 2,000 women, but by the late 2010s, it was packed with more than 3,500. Most inmates were nonviolent offenders, mothers, addicts, and survivors of abuse. Many came in broken, hoping for rehabilitation, but found something else entirely. Former inmates later described CCWF as a pressure cooker. Long lockdowns turned days into weeks. Some units didn't see sunlight for days. Small fights over hygiene products or food could spiral into chaos. And in the middle of it all were women who had already survived trauma, domestic abuse, addiction, or homelessness, now trapped in a place that only deepened their pain. For one inmate, 29-year-old Maria Lopez, prison wasn't supposed to be forever. Convicted for drug possession, she was serving a 5-year sentence. She kept to herself, wrote letters to her son, and avoided trouble. But one night in 2019, she witnessed something she couldn't ignore: a guard assaulting another inmate in the hallway. When she spoke out, everything changed. The following weeks would push Maria to her limits. Retaliation came in small ways at first: missing mail, denied visits. But soon, threats turned to real danger. The women who had once kept quiet began whispering her name. And then, one night, she woke up to find her cellmate gone, transferred suddenly after talking to her. Outside, advocates and journalists were starting to notice a pattern: women disappearing after reporting abuse. Inside, Maria began to realize the truth. Survival here wasn't just about following rules. It was about silence. And then, one morning during inspection, a guard called her name. "Lopez, you're wanted in admin." As she walked down the long hallway, every eye followed her. No one spoke. The door closed behind her with a loud metallic click, and what happened next would expose the dark secrets they tried to keep buried. The room Maria stepped into was small and cold, lit only by a flickering fluorescent light. On the metal table sat a black binder, a tape recorder, and a steaming cup of coffee that no one intended for her. 2 correctional officers stood by the door, their arms crossed, while a woman in a gray suit, Warden Elise Carver, sat across from Maria, expression unreadable. "Sit," the warden said flatly. Maria obeyed, her hands trembling. The warden flipped through the binder and spoke without looking up. "You've been telling stories, Lopez. Dangerous ones." Maria swallowed hard. "I told the truth," she said quietly. "That's not your job here," the warden replied. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the hum of the lights. Then, the warden leaned forward and pressed a small red button on the recorder. "Tell me exactly what you think you saw that night." Maria hesitated. She knew this was a trap. Anything she said could disappear, just like the women who'd spoken before her. "I saw Officer Griggs push inmate Daniels to the ground," she said, her voice shaking. "He hit her. I tried to help." The warden's eyes narrowed. Officer Griggs saved Daniels from hurting herself. You misinterpreted what you saw. You understand. Maria didn't answer. The warden stood, motioned to the guards, and said coldly, "Take her back." That night, Maria's cell was searched. Her letters were torn apart, her photos taken. Her cellmate, a quiet woman named Tasha Green, whispered, "They're trying to break you." Maria barely slept. Every sound in the hallway made her jump. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm blared, followed by muffled screams. The next day, rumors spread fast. Another fight had broken out in the showers. One inmate was badly injured, and officers were locking down the entire unit. Maria sat on her bunk as the cell doors slammed shut one by one. She felt the air grow still. In lockdown, time moved differently. Meals came cold, slipped through a slot in the door. Days blurred together. Tasha started humming to stay sane, but Maria just stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She couldn't stop thinking about the warden's words and what she had seen in that binder. She caught a glimpse of a file with her name on it, thick with pages. 3 days later, the lockdown ended, but something had changed. When the doors opened, the women whispered to each other about a journalist asking questions outside the prison. Someone had leaked the video of the fight in the laundry room, the same one the reporter had filmed weeks before. It was on the news, and for the first time, the world was watching. Guards were furious. Searches became more violent, and inmates were punished for the smallest things. But deep inside, hope flickered. Maybe, just maybe, someone out there cared enough to expose the truth. One evening, as the yard lights buzzed overhead, Maria sat beside Tasha during recreation. "If people know what's really happening here," she said, "they can't ignore us forever." Tasha nodded but kept her eyes on the guards. "Be careful what you say out loud," she whispered. "They're always listening." Before Maria could answer, a siren went off again. Louder, longer this time. Guards shouted for everyone to get down. In the chaos, Maria turned and saw 2 inmates fighting near the fence, one holding a sharpened object. The scene erupted into panic, screaming, running, chaos. A guard fired a warning shot into the air, and everyone dropped to the ground. Maria's heart pounded as she covered her head. When it was finally over, 2 women were taken away on stretchers, one of them Tasha. Maria screamed her name, but the guards pushed her back. That was the moment Maria realized this place wasn't just dangerous, it was designed to destroy them. And somewhere deep in her chest, fear turned into something else entirely. Anger. The morning after the riot, the prison was eerily silent. The air felt heavy, thick with dread. Every corridor smelled faintly of bleach and fear. Maria sat on her bunk, her hands clasped tightly, her eyes fixed on the small crack in the concrete wall. She hadn't seen Tasha since last night. The guards refused to say where she was taken. Some of the women whispered that Tasha was in the infirmary. Others said she'd been transferred to another unit, the kind of place no one ever returned from. At roll call, a new officer replaced Griggs. His name was Sergeant Malone, a broad man with a scar across his cheek and cold blue eyes. He didn't speak much, but when he did, his voice carried an edge of warning. "No talking, no movement, no games," he barked. His presence made even the loudest inmates go quiet. Later that day, Maria was called out again, this time to the laundry room where the fight had first broken out. The machines were still broken, their doors hanging open like silent witnesses. Standing in the corner was Warden Carver, holding a clipboard, her expression as calm as ever. "Lopez," she said, "you've been quite popular lately. People are asking questions about you, reporters, lawyers." Maria looked down, "Because I told the truth." The warden gave a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Truth," she repeated softly. "In here, truth is what we say it is." 2 guards stepped closer. "You're being transferred to administrative segregation," the warden continued. "For your safety." Maria knew what that meant, solitary confinement. Weeks or months in a small concrete cell with nothing but a thin mattress and her thoughts. But she also knew something else. They were trying to silence her before the truth spread further. As she was escorted down the long hallway, the sounds of the prison echoed around her. Doors slamming, metal clanging, muffled cries from cells. It was the soundtrack of forgotten lives. When they reached the segregation wing, Maria felt the temperature drop. The walls were darker here, the lights dimmer. She was shoved inside a cell, and the door slammed behind her. Time blurred. Days turned into nights, nights into endless silence. The only sign of life was the sound of food trays sliding through the slot. But then, one morning, Maria heard something, a faint voice from the next cell. "Lopez, you still there?" It was Tasha. Her voice was weak, trembling. "They're watching everyone, but the outside world knows now. Someone leaked more footage. The news is talking about us." Maria's heart pounded. "How do you know?" An officer said it under his breath. Tasha whispered, "They can't cover it up anymore." For the first time in weeks, Maria smiled through the darkness. Even locked in isolation, she could feel a shift, a crack in the walls that had once felt unbreakable. 2 days later, the guards rushed through the halls. Radios crackled with static and shouting. Something big was happening. Through the small slit in her door, Maria caught a glimpse of movement. Journalists and lawyers arriving at the front gate, escorted by officials from the Department of Justice. The prison was under investigation. Inside, officers scrambled to destroy records, wipe security footage, and hide files. But it was too late. The leaked videos showing the fights, the neglect, and the abuse had already gone viral. The country was watching, and questions were being asked. Maria pressed her forehead against the cold steel door, whispering, "They finally see us." The investigation would take months. The warden was placed on leave. Several officers, including Griggs, were suspended. Activists demanded reform, calling the prison a broken system that punishes women instead of protecting them. But for Maria, justice didn't come overnight. She was released from solitary weeks later, exhausted but unbroken. As she walked back into the general population, other inmates looked at her differently, not with pity, but with respect. That night, under the dim blue glow of the yard lights, Maria stood alone, staring up at the stars. The fences still stood tall, but something inside her had changed. She had seen the truth, lived it, and now the world knew too. And though she was still trapped behind walls, Maria Lopez had done the impossible. She had made them listen.